The January 6th defendant facing the most serious charges in connection to the insurrection is in court today.
Meanwhile, the House committee investigating the riot issued a half-dozen new subpoenas last night as lawmakers try to get to the bottom of how the Capitol assault was planned and carried out. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now with the latest developments on January 6th, which is now the largest criminal investigation in U.S. history. Hi, Scott. Welcome. We know you've been following this very closely. So let's begin with the House panel. What are investigators after with these new subpoenas, and are lawmakers likely to succeed?
Hey, Tanya and Nikki, this is accelerating. The House January 6th committee, which has this enormous breadth of investigation, has moved things up to another level, and the breadth has expanded further. They've now subpoenaed 6 more key local political party leaders, political activists in those swing states, those states that Trump is trying to contest: Michigan, Arizona, Wisconsin. Among the names is Kelly Ward, who's the Republican Party leader in Arizona. You see at the bottom of your screen Douglas Mastriano, a Pennsylvania state senator. He's actually running for statewide office. There's also a woman named Laura Cox, who's a former Michigan Republican Party leader. But these names, though they're not national names, though they're not huge national political figures, are critical in their states. And according to the House Select January 6th Committee and its members, those individuals were part of the plan or the operation to submit false electors from their state, which really is the underpinning for what happened January 6th. The Trump team was trying to challenge the vote and install these alternate electors from the states. And the House January 6th Committee has been unambiguous. They want to know a lot more about the fake electors part and what role that played in all the violence and all the chaos in this unprecedented day in American history.
Scott, there are several people who have been subpoenaed but have not replied. How is the committee handling those individuals?
Right now, they haven't been clear about how they're going to handle those individuals. And there's a growing number of people subpoenaed who've not honored the subpoenas. In fact, I learned today that Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist, media provocateur, is still challenging in court his subpoena for his phone records. And so far, he's succeeded. AT&T has not yet gotten his records or turned them over to the committee. The same for Sebastian Gorka, another Trump insider. He's challenged his subpoena in court, and I'm told Verizon has not yet handed over his court records because of the legal challenge. These legal challenges by high-profile subjects of the investigation have really caused trouble for the House Select January 6th Committee because they're not getting the records when they need them. And Nikki and Tanya, timing is everything for this committee. They have a deadline, have to finish their work by summer or early fall. And the longer these people string it out, the harder things get for everyone.
And I'm sure they are very aware of that. So let's turn now to the criminal prosecutions. One particularly important case is taking place today. What is the latest on Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes?
A late afternoon hearing for the Oath Keepers founder. He's trying to get himself released from jail until trial. And you'll recall, he faces the highest level charge, seditious conspiracy. He's going to appear from the federal prison complex in Oklahoma and make his case. His defense attorneys tell me Rhodes is going to argue that he was in the Washington, D.C. area January 6th on a protective mission, that he and Oath Keepers were there to defend VIPs on stage or near the stage at the White House Elip, the Latinos for Trump, Ali Alexander and others. And they're also going to argue that quick reaction force, that armed staging of guns outside the city limits January 6th, was because they expected or were preparing for Donald Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act. His defense lawyers will argue that because Trump did not invoke the act, they stood down, didn't violate laws. We'll see what that argument does in today's hearing, how the judge responds to it. But if Stewart Rhodes is released tonight from prison in a case of seditious conspiracy, it's going to send a striking message to the dozens of other defendants who remain in jail in January 6 cases.
Many people anxious to see the outcome of Rhodes' hearing today. Scott, earlier on CBS News, colleagues Lana Zak and Vladimir Duthiers spoke with Florida Senator Rick Scott. He criticized the 2 Republicans on the January 6th panel and accused the probe of being a partisan exercise. Let's listen.
If you wanted to have a real investigation, You would have the Democrat members picked by Nancy Pelosi, the Republican members picked by Kevin McCarthy. That's not what happened. That's how committees are set up in Congress. That's not what happened. So it's just a way for Nancy Pelosi to attack Republicans.
Scott, help us fact check this. Why weren't more Republicans part of this panel?
Yeah, the Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, did name his nominees to serve on that panel, but among the people he chose was Jim Jordan, the congressman from Ohio, who is himself a figure in this investigation. There's a belief Jim Jordan talked to Donald Trump just before the insurrection began, so that was a complication. So Nancy Pelosi asked McCarthy to submit different names. When that didn't happen, she found 2 Republicans who were willing to serve. But what Senator Scott says is something we're hearing from a number of Republicans, and we'll hear until this committee is closed. They're saying it isn't truly bipartisan. They're trying to discredit its findings in advance by saying it's not bipartisan. This is something we hear echoed from many Republicans, not just Senator Scott.
Scott MacFarlane, more from you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.